The very unexpected and late-breaking news that has come as a real shock tonight, particularly to those of us who have grown up stewed in American political and popular culture, is that one of the most recognizable and iconic comedic talents of this generation or the last few generations has died unexpectedly today. Robin Williams, age 63, died today in his home in Northern California in what the Marin County Sheriff's Office is describing as a suspected suicide. It's hard to overstate the fame and the popularity that Robin Williams achieved almost instantly thanks to his remarkable television debut in the late 1970s. It was February 1978 when he went from being a relatively unknown comic to one of the most famous actors in America, thanks to his appearance as a space alien named Mork during the 5th season of the humongously popular 1950s themed sitcom that was called Happy Days, which I watched basically on a loop throughout my entire childhood. The Mork on Happy Days completely off-the-wall appearance freaked audiences out in the best possible way. And from that appearance came the sitcom called Mork and Mindy, which was an immediate sensation. If you were an American who watched television in the late 1970s, early 1980s, you knew chapter and verse about Mork from Ork and the frenetic stream of consciousness, turn on a dime, manic, comedic brilliance of Robin Williams. His sitcom was huge. His appearances on late-night talk shows were huge, which were an even bigger deal then than they are now, I think. His stand-up comedy was huger than huge. I mean, there had been comic actors before who could do 1,000 voices, and comic characters before Robin Williams who were memorable and became household names. But nobody had ever done them in one comedically coherent rip, one after the other, right, with seemingly no limit, careening from bit to bit to bit and voice to voice to voice at 1,000,000 miles an hour in an almost unsustainable pace. If he was not the first, he was among the first funny people to make everyone in America sort of turn and ask each other, where does he come up with all that stuff? And in that way, Robin Williams changed the way people could be entertained. That style, the unique speed and range of things that Robin Williams could put together in every performance, made him almost instantly iconic.
Would you welcome Robin Williams? People always think performers don't get nervous.
Not at all, really. Oh, God. Not really. Not me, no way.
Is there some reason you don't do this? The fact that you get nervous?
Very much so. And I suffer from severe dyslexia, too. I was the only child in my block on Halloween to go trick-or-trout. Here comes that young Williams boy again. Better get some fish. Here you go. Say hi to your mom and dad.
Where is home for you, or did you come from a home?
They said, the people of the institution, Tommy. If you haven't taken your medication yet, it's going to be fine.
They're back at 12.
Back at 12, yeah. No. All right, Mr. Williams, I'm real fine now.
Look at this thing. Look, Flipper.
Right now there's a sound man going, what are you doing?
Oh, God. I better relax. It's okay. I'm on TV.
My chest.
You're a nice man. You won't hurt me.
No.
Hold on, just one second. Okay, thank you. Don't be afraid. The sores went away.
That was Robin Williams' first ever appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in 1981. Imagine sitting down at the Johnny Carson show for the first time you'd ever been there and having the chutzpah to do it the way that he did. It was reported just last month, even as he continued to work in the movies and on TV and on Broadway, that Robin Williams had checked himself into a drug rehab program. His publicist issued this statement tonight, quote, Robin Williams passed away this morning. He has been battling severe depression of late. This is a tragic and sudden loss. The family respectfully asks for their privacy as they grieve during this difficult time. Joining us now is Christopher Farley. He's the senior editorial director at the Wall Street Journal, where he oversees the newspaper's Speakeasy culture blog. Mr. Farley, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Robin Williams always seemed like like when Johnny Carson said, "Did you come from a home?" He always seemed like he was a person where you could not imagine he came from somewhere. It didn't seem like there was anybody before him who was ever like him. How should we understand him in terms of a continuum of performers?
Well, that's a great point, because there are a lot of people that try to follow in the footsteps of comics like Jerry Seinfeld. Someone like Richard Pryor has spawned a lot of imitators, not always successful. But someone like Robin Williams, he really was someone who was so unique that people would like to have his kind of success, but no one has really been able to follow in his exact footsteps as a comic. He's someone who really is someone who is a brand unto himself. I mean, he had wild success. I mean, $5 billion worldwide. That's the growth of his movies. $3 billion in the U.S. Made a lot of money. People would like to be like him. No one has really managed to be exactly like him.
Did he, in both his comedic style and his acting capacity, did he change over time, or did he just expand? Because it seems to me that even in his later work, there was still the recognizable manic energy and that bit-to-bit-to-bit speed that you saw in him in the late 70s.
So he did manage to stretch himself continually throughout his career. I remember early on, one of the first big features I ever did was a story on Awakenings, and I spent a lot of time with Oliver Sacks, the neurologist at the center of that movie, who Robin Williams portrays. And Oliver Sacks is a very low-key kind of guy. He's not a manic humorist. He's a neurologist. And I kept thinking to myself, how was Robin Williams going to play this guy? And of course he did, to great effect and to great acclaim, because he had that other gear. And only 2 years before that, he'd appeared on Broadway in Waiting for Godot opposite Steve Martin, playing one of Beckett's greatest roles. This is a guy you could always find another gear. Yes, he was a comic, but he laid the groundwork for other comics to stretch themselves, to not just be funny men, but to also be taken seriously as actors. And not a whole lot of people have been able to do that, but certainly he set the standard as an actor. An actor who can be taken seriously and also can be funny as well.
My phone is the actor-director Henry Winkler, who was there playing Fonzie on Happy Days when Robin Williams' career exploded on screen in 1978 in that amazing debut. Henry Winkler, thank you so much for taking time with us on this tough night. I really appreciate you calling in.
Thanks, Rachel. First of all, can I just say
please,
that the entire Winkler family, all of our thoughts are with the Williams family.
Can I ask you about how you first met him and your first impressions when you first encountered him as then a not at all famous performer?
We had a script about an alien, Mork for Mork. Gary Marshall, I believe that his son, his young son said, "Hey, Dad, wouldn't it be funny if Fonzie met an alien?" So they wrote this script, and they couldn't find the right actor to play him. Now, we rehearsed Monday from 10 o'clock in the morning until Friday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we shot the show Friday night, 7 o'clock. Wednesday, we still didn't have an actor.
Wow.
Wednesday afternoon, Bobby Hoffman, who was the casting director, brought a young actor, first time, usually did stand up, to the set to start rehearsal. And I'm telling you, Rachel, no hyperbole, you knew you were in the presence of somebody very special, of greatness. And you know, somebody said earlier in the show that he had chutzpah, and it was not chutzpah, it was not nerve. He needed, it was his soul, it was the way he was put on the earth. You said something to him, he sucked it in, and he blew it out, and it came out so with originality and so powerfully and so funny that your jaw dropped.
What was he like privately? I mean, was that, in terms of that, you're saying that's sort of part of his soul, sort of who he was as a person, not just as a character. What was it like interacting with him when the cameras were off?
It was just Robin the being.
Yeah.
And how he was off the set, he was boundlessly filled with energy. He never stopped working. He would go to the clubs at night and do his act and work on his acts. He would act all day and do the show with us, or then eventually his own show. And then we saw that he was limitless, that he could do great drama, he could do drama with comedy, he could do comedy. He was a miracle. I'm not kidding. I mean, it took your breath away. And how was he when he was just talking to you? He was as quiet and as gentle as the breeze. No matter when you saw him, no matter how long it was in between the times you saw him, you were first met with a hug. He talked to you like you were the only human being in the world at the moment.
Henry Winkler, actor and director, longtime friend of Robin Williams. I know this is a very tough night for everybody who was friends with him. Thank you for talking to us about it. I really appreciate it, Henry.
Thanks for asking.